Hey, my name is Khal Clary, and I run Roanoke Workflow Automation. We help companies integrate AI and workflow automations into their business. And today I'm going to go over a workflow that can save your team 15 hours a week of admin work using a task router workflow. So, really quickly, just picture a 5 to 10 person business marketing agency, and they're swimming in emails like, can you run ads for my startup? Here are the new graphics, invoice number 2 of 4 looks wrong, or I need Friday off. So these are all different questions, different emails that your admin team might be receiving. And what the task router would do is it tags them on arrival as an RFP, as a creative asset, as accounting or HR, and then each tag zips the note to the right department or teammate so nobody has to dig through a cluttered inbox. So think of Fixer.ai. What that does is it will respond to your emails in your particular tone in the highest priority, like a triage. Um, but it won't actually assign that to a task management system, which is something that a lot of teams need, especially for their admin teams. They're receiving emails, they have to write up the task maybe in Azure DevOps, or if you're a SaaS team, or maybe they're having to write it in something like SmartSuite or Asana or Trello. So that sort of implementation is needed, and then they might have a particular channel that they use where they don't just want to message through email. Maybe they want to message through Teams or through Google Chat or Slack. So that this single save here, the ability to do all of this, that can save teams up to 15 hours a week, even just in a small agency of 5 to 10. So with that, I'll walk you through an example use case. And so what I want you guys to do is I want you to imagine that you're a business ops agency that develops a monthly service for clients to sell. So let's imagine we just got this email in. Hi Cal, attaches an RFP for our new service line. We would like to produce a dashboard that allows convenience store owners to better understand foot traffic to staff their stores more appropriately in business hours. So this is probably some kind of dashboard where they're already getting the information in, and they just want an elegant way of presenting it to their clients. So they've included here a request for quote or a request for proposal. So this looks great. They've got their what's in scope, what's not, where we go for questions and clarifications, budget guidelines. Great. So if we weren't using a task router workflow and we were just doing this by hand, like I said, I would first forward this email to whoever the responsible party is. Then I would go into our task management system. For this example, I'm using SmartSuite, and then I would input all the appropriate information. Who's reached out, what type of task this is, what the status is, summary of it, message. Maybe I want to attach the email. I'd also probably attach the attachment. There's other things on here too, like we can have it assigned to a particular person, assigned to a particular department. For this example, I've taken just an MVP approach just to show you guys. So, that's what we would get here. Then what we might do also is that admin person might also go to your Slack. They might type in the appropriate department. For this one, we're going to say there's a department called RFQ, but it could be anything. This would probably be like your sales team or some sort of customer acquisition. So they would come in here, they would message the team, ask them to follow up, and then the team would have to see these messages, in a timely manner and come back to it. And then after all of that, then the admin would come here, they would reply to the email and let them know that we're working on it. So there's 4 or 5 steps there that the admin's doing every time they receive an email like this. And they're receiving, 100 plus emails a day if you're an admin team on a larger small business. And so these different questions could be around HR, they could be about accounting, so they have to reroute it every time to the appropriate person. And if you don't have a task management system either, you have no way of measuring what the tasks are and what your major bottlenecks from those tasks are. So moving forward, we'll just come over here real quick. And actually, in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and start the workflow. So what that means is I'm going to pull this email over to our task list label. And so that'll trigger one of our workflow automations today. So let's see. Great, and then I'll come over here and explain what's going to happen. So for our task router workflow, what will happen is the email has been submitted, we've moved it to the appropriate label, our task list label. So workflow has been triggered. Next thing that will happen is the AI will then scan the email. So in this case, I'm using OpenAI's ChatGPT 4.0 Mini, but you can use Claude Sonnet, you can use Gemini, whatever sort of LLM you're comfortable using on the back end with whatever workflow system you're using. Maybe you're using Zapier, N8N, Make. In this case, I'm just using Zapier, just something really basic to show you what's going on here. So what will happen is it's going to look at the email, it's going to determine what the email is about, it's going to write a summary, because if it was a larger email, it's a few paragraphs or 2-3 paragraphs long, that'd just be too long for us to just have a quick synopsis about what it is and tell it to the appropriate team members, or put in a Slack channel even. So it'll write a new summary, it'll add all of the appropriate information in, and then what it'll do is it'll create that task in SmartSuite. So if I come back over to SmartSuite, this task has been created for Jordan Hayes. The department or the type right here is the RFQ, RFP. And then again, what you could also do is you could add another column here, and that could be the appropriate department. In this case, I'm just considering type as the department. And then you could also go a step further and assign it to a person on your team. Maybe you want to go by least capacity to most capacity, or most capacity to least capacity, and add that person in as the assigned head contact for this. So what we also have here is we have a summary, and this is a quick synopsis of the email. So if I come over to blank slate, you look at here, Jordan Hayes from C-Store Agentics has sent an RFP regarding a new service line aimed at creating a dashboard for convenience store owners. So the dashboard intends to help these owners understand foot traffic patterns, enabling them to staff their stores more effectively during peak hours. The email includes an attachment with more details about the RFP. Great, so this is the sort of information that we would want to send to the potential sales rep for this particular task. So what will next happen here is we'll come back, task has been created in SmartSuite. Now a Slack reminder will be sent with the SmartSuite task in mind. So if I come over here, I'm under our RFQ department. We're just going to pretend that's the department name today. So here's the name of the department, and then here's the information. Again, what we just wrote in blank slate. So gives us the summary. Then I have a link here that'll open it back in our task management system so we can sort of understand what we're looking at. And so the RFQ team can really dive into this. We can add further information like their email, their phone number. We can also even have the email string forwarded to the sales department or to the appropriate team members as part of this whole chain. I haven't done that in this example, but that's certainly something we could do. Another thing too is if you're working with some particular sort of data that you want to keep extra safe, or maybe you don't want the LLMs to train on, make sure that you go into whatever LLM you're using, you turn off the ability for them to train off of that data. Maybe you want to use a particular LLM that's compliant within your system. Maybe you guys use a particular Copilot LLM, or maybe you have a enterprise system for OpenAI. But another thing you can do also is you could self-host with an AWS server, or you can use a virus total, and that's a plugin that you can put into like an N8N workflow, and that'll actually check every attachment that comes in to ensure that it's not malware. So moving on, again, I'll come back down here. The next part of this is the email reply drafted. So as I said at the beginning, your admin is sending all of this information out, and then they also need to go back and respond to the person who sent the email, just confirm that they received it. So if I come here, you know how we submitted this to our task list, well now a draft has been created for us. And this is again just an extra piece here. If you're using Fixer AI, you actually wouldn't even need this. It would create the draft for you using your appropriate language, and that's something I can make another video on in the future. But just wanted to showcase something for you. So again, the email's been created here. It's got all of the appropriate information. At the bottom, I could have in the future, I could have the workflow to remind the workflow to use the appropriate signature, whether you name of the person sending the email down here at the bottom. So with that, I've shown you the workflow. If you wanted to go a step further, you could connect it to something like a Claude MCP or another AI agent system to make this even more effective. I'll be making another video on this in the future about exactly that and how it sort of removes a lot of bottlenecks and a lot of admin hours from teams. So if you have any other questions about your companies, about your company for any particular bottlenecks or need help with your business's AI agent integration plan, go ahead and DM me and I'd be happy to set up a time to chat more. Thank you.